get some more intel and check in with the man over at Dogs HQ, Jake Rowe. Jake, happy National Signing Day, man. How's it feel to have the top-ranked class in the country today?
Man, it's anticlimactic for us. I mean, you're waiting on that Terry Bussey thing, and man, that would have given Georgia four five-star prospects at DB in the On 300. That would have been absolutely nuts. They took a big swing at it, and they were in good shape to take a big swing at it because they had 28 guys sign in what seemed like about 30 minutes in the first early signing day. So that was a lot more frantic than what we're experiencing right now for sure.
Jake, talking about some of the guys that are already on campus, I mean, there's a couple of them that participated in bowl practice and were able to kind of get their feet wet. What's the latest you're hearing on some of those high-profile guys that have already thrown a practice jersey on with the cleats on and ran around a little bit?
Well, I mean, Ellis Robinson made some noise right away during those bowl practices. I mean, it's pretty apparent that he's an elite talent. Justin Williams, people won't shut up about him. And I say that it sounds kind of angry when I say that. It's not. I mean, from off field to workout stuff like that. I mean, he's a big timer. KJ Bolden's another one, and I'm not trying to move down this list, but it's a good start. It really is. And then KJ Bolden, I mean, we've kind of gotten some intel that suggests that he has shown some explosiveness on the practice field or on the workout, in workouts that has been kind of eye opening. Joseph Jonah Janye had a really good couple of bowl practices there, especially in the one-on-ones. A guy that wasn't on that list is Jaden Riddell. I feel good about saying that Georgia feels like they got their guy at tight end in this class. I mean, he's obviously a highly ranked guy, but at the same time, Jaden Riddell has really impressed in these winter workouts thus far. A lot of these guys have. I mean, they brought in such a massive group. I believe it's 23 early enrollees, wow. and that's a few years ago, Kirby was, I remember Kirby talking to us, and it was like 13. He's like, biggest group we've ever had. Well, you almost doubled it now, and that's just the way the game's moving.
Let's talk about that defensive line class. It's just unbelievable. The heights and weights, it's all 6'5", 300. I mean, you got Joseph Jonah Janye, who's a massive athlete at 6'4", 275, and he's on the small end of this defensive line class. Who are you most excited about to see come to Athens and work in that trench spot?
Well, obviously you have to go with Joseph Jonah Janye. That's kind of the given. Especially when you consider he just turned 17 a few months ago. I mean, he's going to be almost done with his freshman season at Georgia before he turns 18 years old. He'll turn 18 in November. I like Nasir Johnson a lot. He took a little bit of a tumble in the rankings, but Rusty Mansell, my man over here, our publisher and my partner here, he was down at MVP camp in Valdosta. Nasir Johnson shows up. And, the kid's 6'5", 6'6" now. And that's something that, he's kind of grown a couple of inches here in the last 18 months. To me, man, Florida had him. And Florida did a really good job of getting on him early. But he had a lot of Georgia folks in his camp. Dublin, Georgia's Bulldog country. It's tough to go down there and get a kid that Georgia – go in there and get a kid that Georgia really wants. And I like him a lot. Jordan Thomas is a guy that Georgia has had very high on their board since he was, since before his junior season of high school ball, I believe, maybe after his junior season. But they did a really good job of meeting needs. They got Nnamdi Ogboko at that nose tackle position, and they've done such a phenomenal job of identifying traits in a nose tackle and then developing that. That's kind of Trey Scott's forte there. So I'm with you. I really like this defensive line class and the versatility of it. And that's before even bringing up a guy like Justin Hill, who flashed out of the Army it's not Army All-American Bowl anymore. The All-American Bowl. It's tough to say without the.
Now, what about the offensive line? Like, does Georgia have to bring in even bigger offensive linemen? Because you got Michael Uini, you got Daniel Calhoun, Nair Daniels, who committed live with On3. Nair Daniels is 6'7.5", 330 pounds at last check. I mean, where are they finding these guys?
Well, I mean, Nair Daniels, if you took a sixth grader and put him on the scale, would probably be a little bit, that would probably be a little bit more like it. He's probably closer to 400 than he is 300 right now, and he's going to have some work to do. A lot of these guys are. This is the way Georgia does it. This is the way, I mean, they've done it for this way since Kirby got there, is they recruit people that they know are going to be massive human beings. Jamari Sawyer, Trey Hill, two of the best interior. Well, really, Jamari Sawyer was a great tackle at Georgia, but two of the best linemen that Kirby Smart has had, two of the most consistent and good players. They were both 355, 360 pounds, and they had to come in and lose weight. And that's what Georgia likes to do. Former director of player personnel, Matt Godwin's done some shows with us, and he says they're a weight loss program, not really a weight gain program, even though they'll take their shots with that. And so most of these guys, Daniel Calhoun, Nair Daniels, you mentioned him. You look at Marquise Easley, who was probably about 350 pounds when he enrolled. They're going to go in, they're going to get these guys in shape, and they're going to kind of prepare them for the future. I look, though, at Michael Luini, and I think to myself, he's probably the first man up. He's probably the guy that's the most ready to step in and maybe make some noise, because Georgia's looking at a situation where they have 3 tackles this year, that's more 3 tackles that can play winning football, that have extensive experience. Well, that's more than most programs have ready to play. Michael Luini has a chance to step in and kind of be that fourth guy immediately.
Yeah, I think Georgia's probably in good shape when it comes to who's the first guy off the bus. It's kind of just take your pick. I think Georgia's probably fine in that department. Jake, I'm always fascinated with these early enrollees about how some of their teammates speak about them when they're asked about how they did during bowl practice or how they're doing during winter workouts. And there's a clip circulating on social media from Aaron Murray's company, I believe it is, the Players Lounge, of some of those guys talking about Ryan Puglisi and kind of his demeanor, how he carried himself, and how he's flashed during bowl practice. Overall impressions of him so far?
I mean, there's a lot of good things coming out of the Butts-Mehre building, which is Georgia's football hub, about Ryan Puglisi. And, early on, I mean, he steps in. I don't know if he was running scout team or second team when they were going good on good, because Georgia does bowl practices like a lot of teams do. They don't really start preparing for the specific team until they get about 5 or 6 practices in. And Ryan Puglisi had a chance to participate in a couple of those practices and did quite well. I mean, enough to really fire up some teammates and kind of slicing and dices maybe the second team defense. So, you hear a lot of really good things about him. We've had some notes over on Dogs HQ kind of about his work ethic. He hasn't played a snap yet, hasn't really put on shoulder pads for more than 2 or 3 practices. But you see some of the traits, some of the kind of underdog mentality there for him. And we say underdog, he's a phenomenal prospect. I mean, one of the top 150 players in the country. But you look and you're hearing all the right things that you want to hear out of a young quarterback there. And, like I was listening to Charles talk a few minutes ago, they like Ryan Puglisi a lot, but, it's on to the 2025 class, and it's, looking at the portal every chance they get. They're trying to stockpile talent. They're trying to get those shots on goal you guys were talking about a minute ago.
Well, Jake, we appreciate you making time for us today to talk about your #1 ranked class in the entire country. A lot of teams today were talking about who do they get a signature from and who's going to be on campus, and we talked to you about how are guys doing during winter workouts, how they do during bowl practice. So the rich getting richer in Athens, but we appreciate you making time to talk to us. Folks, get a membership at Dogs HQ. All the intel over there from Jake and the team.
Hey, long live the first week, Wednesday in February. Long live.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.